The Galactic Senate laughed when the ancient star maps labeled Earth as lost civilization. They laughed harder when a human walked into the chamber, smiling politely, holding coffee like it was a weapon of mass destruction. The Galactic Senate chamber was designed to intimidate. Its ceiling stretched into a dark void where banners of every empire drifted in artificial wind. Hollow screens shimmered with reports, disputes, and accusations shouted across the tiers of alien delegates. Today, however, the agenda was light-hearted. Next on record, droned the Secretary drone, its voice flat as iron. Historical classification update. Species, Homo sapiens. Status, confirmed extinct. The chamber erupted in laughter. A Saurian diplomat slapped his scaled hand against the railing. At last, the official record catches up with common sense. The apes are dust. Their little blue planet nothing but a scorched graveyard. A gelatinous envoy bubbled with glee. Remember the rumors? That humans once waged wars so brutal their own kind feared them. Absurd. If they were so dangerous, why are they gone? Others joined, each trying to outdo the next with clever barbs. It was a sport, mock the mythical humans. Only one voice cut through the amusement. An elder from the Koresh order, feathered and weary, leaned on his staff. You should not laugh at ghosts. Extinct or not, humanity's shadow lingers. The archives call them predators for a reason. Predators? Sneered a scaled diplomat. They couldn't even survive their own climate shifts. Hardly apex material. The debate teetered between derision and half-hearted warnings, until the chamber doors opened. A figure walked in. Upright. Two-legged. Wearing a crisp navy uniform, black coat hanging just loose enough to look casual. The laughter didn't fade, it died. The man carried a mug in one hand, steam curling upward. His expression was polite, almost apologetic, as if intruding on a private dinner. Sorry for the interruption. Traffic was murder. He sipped his coffee. Though I suppose in my case, that's not entirely a metaphor. Every eye locked on him. Every species present froze, scanning, recalculating. The impossible stood before them. The Secretary drone's voice faltered for the first time in centuries. Identify yourself. The man inclined his head. Captain Elias Ward. Earth Fleet, retired technically. Though it seems retirement never lasts as long as you'd like. A silence thick enough to drown in followed. Finally, the Saurian delegate hissed. Impossible. Humans are extinct. We saw the archives. Elias smiled, the kind of smile that looked friendly until you realized the teeth behind it. Ah, the archives. Always so tidy. But you know how bureaucracies are. Someone files the wrong form, and poof, entire civilizations vanish on paper. Very efficient. Laughter did not return. The gelatinous envoy quivered uneasily. If you are human, prove it. Elias raised his mug. This is coffee. Boiled bean water. Tastes bitter, stains teeth, makes the heart race. No other species tortures itself with it daily. Satisfied? A ripple of nervous whispers swept the chamber. Coffee had been one of those odd human quirks no alien ever understood, like running for fun, or voluntarily watching horror films. The Koresh elder's feathers bristled. You should not be here. The galaxy has moved on. Humanity is no more. Elias' tone softened, as if he were comforting a child. That's one perspective. But forgive me, I prefer fashionably late to the galactic party. Extinct sounds so final. I'm rather against finality. A young insecta delegate clicked her mandibles nervously. What do you want, human? Elias set the mug down on the speaker's platform as though it were his rightful place. Nothing outrageous. Just a seat at the table. After all, you're discussing us. Seems rude not to include us. The Saurian slammed his clawed fist. Your species was weak. You burned your world, tore yourselves apart in petty wars. You vanished, and no one mourned. Elias listened politely, hands folded. When the tirade ended, he gave a small shrug. You're not wrong about the petty wars. But weakness? His voice lowered, controlled, like the calm surface of deep water. Weakness doesn't leave scars on galactic history. Weakness doesn't earn extinction twice in the archives because the first declaration didn't stick. The chamber froze again. A feline envoy whispered, almost to herself. Twice? Elias' smile sharpened. Oh yes. First time was premature. Second time, bureaucrats were determined. But we're stubborn. Terribly inconvenient habit. The Koresh elder struck the staff against the floor. Enough riddles. Speak plainly. What do you mean to do? Elias lifted his mug again, though it was nearly empty. Me? For now, nothing. I'm just here to remind you that paperwork doesn't kill civilizations. Belief doesn't erase us. And laughing, he tilted his head, gaze sliding across the chamber. Laughing at ghosts is rarely wise. The words landed heavier than any threat. They weren't shouted, weren't dramatic. Just delivered with casual finality, as if he'd ordered lunch and the chef didn't realize the knives were already at his throat. Delegates whispered furiously. Some demanded his arrest, others urged caution. No one moved. The gelatinous envoy tried to regain composure. If humans are not extinct, then where are the rest of you? One man does not make a species. Elias chuckled softly, like a teacher amused at a student's naivety. True. One man doesn't make a species. He leaned closer, voice dropping to a near whisper. But one man can be the reminder of what waits in the dark. The elder shivered. The saurian bristled. The insectoid tried not to look terrified. Elias straightened, smoothing his coat, suddenly all politeness again. Well, I've taken enough of your time. Do continue your celebration. He gestured toward the hollow screen that still displayed the classification, Homo sapiens, extinct. He picked up his mug and turned for the door. At the threshold, he paused. Without looking back, he said lightly, Oh, and one more thing. Extinction? Highly overrated. You should try patience instead. Much longer shelf life. Then he left the chamber in silence thick enough to crush. No one laughed this time. Whispers travel faster than light. Faster than trade convoys, faster than truth. By the end of the week, half the galaxy had heard the impossible. A human had stood in the Senate chamber. At first, many dismissed it as theatrics. A clone, perhaps. A shapeshifter hired for political mischief. But the details wouldn't die. The human had drunk coffee. He'd cracked jokes no translator could fake. And the Koresh elder, known for never bending to propaganda, had called him authentic. That alone seeded panic. In the dim corridors of the Valent Spire, 3 admirals of the Saurian Dominion whispered over star charts. It's a bluff, spat Admiral Vorkesh, tail lashing. One relic survivor paraded to unsettle us. Nothing more. Admiral Thresh flicked his tongue uneasy. Then explained the reports. Merchant convoys found vaporized, no wreckage left. Patrol squadrons vanishing. The sensors show energy signatures older than our wars. The 3rd, Admiral Kor, slammed his claws on the table. Ghost stories. Old debris fields shifting in gravity wells. You want to believe in phantoms, fine. I'll prepare for war. The others fell silent. The galaxy had laughed for centuries at the idea of humans returning. Now even mockery felt brittle. Meanwhile, Elias Ward moved through the galaxy as if it were his living room. He attended receptions, negotiated minor disputes, shook hands with beings who barely hid their tremors. His uniform never bore insignias, just polished black, as though daring others to guess his rank. He played the role of a guest. Yet his words always landed like a loaded weapon placed gently on the table. At a trade summit on Kila Prime, a thin, insectoid merchant challenged him. You humans vanished. We built the galaxy while you were gone. Why return now? Elias sipped his coffee, unbothered by the stares. Oh, we never left. Just stepped into the backyard for a while. You'd be surprised how much you see when you're quiet. The merchant clicked nervously. If you had power, you would have shown it. Elias smiled, slow and steady. You assume patience means weakness. We assume impatience is suicide. Different schools of thought. The alien said nothing. Neither did the others. The silence itself confirmed their fear. The human wasn't bluffing. Rumors swelled. A Koresh pilgrim ship swore they had seen silhouettes of warships hanging above a dead star. Entire kilometers long, plated in dark metal that swallowed starlight. When hailed, the ships said nothing. Then, as if bored, they vanished into the void. A Valen patrol claimed they tracked an unknown fleet through the Oran Belt. Their flagship transmitted one final message before disappearing. It's them. They're back. Each story contradicted the next. Some described ships like mountains. Others like knives of light. But the conclusion was always the same: humanity's graveyard was stirring. On the orbital station of the Los Reach, a gathering of scholars dissected the reports. It must be impossible, one insisted. Those fleets were scrapped, their industries shattered. No race survives extinction twice. Another countered. Unless extinction was theater. A mask. A third muttered. The Koresh warned us. Predators don't die. They wait. The room fell into nervous laughter, but no one truly smiled. Elias himself gave the galaxy nothing concrete. He moved like a man carrying secrets too heavy to share. At a diplomatic dinner, an aquatic envoy pressed him directly. Tell us plainly. Are these ghost fleets human? Or tricks of frightened minds? Elias raised his glass, eyes glinting. Ghosts? Maybe. But tell me, have you ever seen a ghost sink a battleship? No one dared respond. Behind closed doors, panic brewed. Coalitions shifted resources, reallocating ships toward unexplained sensor anomalies. Fleets patrolled empty regions of space. Every unexplained shadow became a phantom armada. A veteran from the Dominion snarled during a briefing. They are playing with us. One man sows terror across empires. That is the human game. Psychological war. His second-in-command asked. And if it isn't a game? The veteran had no answer. The mystery spread into the underworld too. Pirate lords whispered of human relics surfacing, small craft that fought like demons, unmanned drones that shredded cruisers before disappearing. Some paid fortunes for fragments of blackened metal engraved with Earth's old insignia, a stylized blue sphere. One pirate captain, before his ship was gutted in silence, sent a single transmission. They are hunting. Back on a neutral world, Elias sat with a Koresh elder in a quiet garden, the only place unbugged by the galaxy's politics. The elder studied him. You sow fear with ease. Yet you do not deny the fleets. Elias looked up at the alien sky. Why would I deny what you already believe? The elder's feathers quivered. If they are real, then your people have waited in silence for centuries. That would make humanity not victims of history, but authors of a trap. Elias finally smiled, not polite this time but edged with something colder. You're wiser than most. But wisdom is dangerous. Best to let others laugh until the laughing stops. The elder exhaled slowly, a prayer on his breath. Predators indeed. By month's end, the phrase ghost fleet had burned itself into the galaxy's lexicon. Military briefings used it. Traders cursed it. Children whispered it. Elias said nothing to confirm or deny. He simply kept walking, calm, polite, coffee in hand, as whole civilizations bent under the weight of their own paranoia. And somewhere, far beyond the borders of charted space, titanic engines stirred after a long, patient silence. The trap was set with the elegance of a chessboard. The Saurian Dominion believed it was the hunter. In truth, they had taken the bait with the eagerness of a child reaching for candy. Elias Ward stood calmly on the bridge of his small cruiser Ardent Dawn, watching the tactical hollow flicker with crimson markers. Dominion ships surrounded them, 2 dreadnoughts, half a dozen cruisers, a net of smaller escorts. The Saurian admiral's voice thundered through comms. Human vessel, you are outnumbered. Power down or be annihilated. Elias stirred his coffee. Annihilated. That's such a dramatic word. Hasn't anyone in your fleet tried negotiation training? You could soften the tone a little. The Saurian growled. You mock us. This is your extinction confirmed. Elias looked at his crew, 3 humans, calm, almost bored. Then he leaned toward the mic. Extinction. Again with that word. You people need fresher vocabulary. Hold a dictionary drive, perhaps? Laughter rippled through his tiny crew. On the Saurian side, silence. Elias placed his mug carefully in its holder. His voice changed, polite as ever, but colder. You've made 2 mistakes. First, assuming numbers equal victory. Second, assuming I came here alone. The Saurian admiral barked. Bluff! Elias smiled faintly. You should look behind you. The stars shifted. No, not stars, silhouettes. At first, faint outlines against the void. Then the darkness itself unfolded. One by one, vast shadows resolved into form. Kilometers-long warships with hulls black as obsidian, plating scarred from wars no living species remembered. Their engines glowed faint blue, steady as a heartbeat. The forgotten fleet had awakened. Gasps crackled across alien calms. Sensor alarms shrieked. Dozens of ships appeared, then hundreds, forming a ring around the Dominion force. Each vessel bore the faded insignia of Earth, blue sphere, wings of silver. The Saurian admiral stammered. Impossible. Those ships, they should not exist. Elias leaned back in his chair, utterly relaxed. And yet here they are. The paperwork must have missed a page. His fleet commander, an older woman with iron-gray hair, stepped forward. Orders, sir? Elias took a slow sip of coffee before answering. Show them extinction's other definition. The human fleet moved as one. No battle cries, no hesitation. Their formation tightened, unleashing a precision strike. Blue-white beams carved through Saurian cruisers, tearing them apart before shields could cycle. Dreadnoughts reeled as kinetic rounds, projectiles the size of buses, punched clean through their armored hulls. In less than 2 minutes, the Dominion's proud blockade was in ruins. Elias' crew worked with quiet efficiency, not jubilation. Every maneuver was clean, calculated. No wasted energy, no random destruction. Predators didn't thrash, they struck where it hurt most. The Saurian admiral's last transmission came through, panicked, broken. You hid this for centuries? Why? Elias replied softly. Because patience is the art of hunting. The line cut out as the admiral's flagship split in half, debris scattering into the void. Far away, in Senate chambers, the live feeds hit like a shockwave. Delegates watched the Dominion fleet vanish under weapons fire no civilization believed humans still possessed. The gelatinous envoy quivered in disbelief. 1 cruiser, and then hundreds. This cannot be real. The Koresh elder simply bowed his head. It was always real. We were the fools who forgot. Panic spread. Empires scrambled fleets to borders. Traders canceled routes near human space. Some governments declared martial law, convinced invasion was imminent. The galaxy's great powers had mocked a ghost. Now the ghost had teeth. Back aboard Ardent Dawn, Elias remained unnervingly calm. He stood before the viewport, watching wreckage drift among his silent armada. His first officer spoke quietly. They'll rally. Entire coalitions will come for us now. Elias nodded. Good. It saves us the effort of chasing them individually. Let the galaxy gather. Fear is easier to manage when it centralizes. She hesitated. Do we reveal everything? Elias turned, expression unreadable. Not yet. Mystery does more damage than firepower. Let them imagine worse than what's true. In time, imagination will crush them before we ever need to. Rumors spread faster than the battle itself. Survivors' black box recordings showed only fragments, colossal shapes sliding out of darkness, weapons that cut through dreadnoughts like paper. To some, the ships looked alive, to others, they resembled moving fortresses. Each story made the fleet more terrifying. In the Dominion capital, riots broke out. Civilians demanded to know how their navy had been destroyed in minutes. Politicians shouted over each other, some insisting the battle was faked, others begging for alliances against humanity. The galaxy had no consensus, only chaos. Meanwhile, Elias addressed his fleet privately. Hollow displays shimmered with the faces of commanders, men and women who had waited lifetimes for this moment. He spoke without theatrics, voice steady. We remained silent while the galaxy laughed. They thought us dead, irrelevant, forgotten. Today, they learned otherwise. But remember, this isn't conquest. We don't need thrones. We need respect. And if respect only comes through fear, then fear will suffice. His words carried no triumph, only the cold efficiency of a surgeon describing an operation. The commanders saluted, their ships vanishing into the dark once more, dispersing like sharks into deep water. The forgotten fleet had revealed itself, but only a fraction. What the galaxy saw was a glimpse, enough to spark terror. Elias intended it that way. As his cruiser turned from the battlefield, he murmured, almost to himself, "They called us extinct. Let them choke on the irony." The council chamber of Ylovor Prime looked less like a seat of power and more like a cage. Every alien representative sat stiff, eyes locked on the human delegation at the center. The room hummed with restrained panic, though no one dared admit it aloud. Admiral Elias Kane sat casually at the polished obsidian table, posture relaxed, fingers steepled beneath his chin. He looked more like a man waiting for a cup of coffee than someone whose fleet had just paralyzed an entire quadrant. "Forgive me," Kane said in a tone so smooth it could butter bread. "But when you label a species extinct, don't you usually confirm first?" The chambers shifted uncomfortably. Chancellor Rytha, a feathered Valen whose kind prided themselves on diplomacy, tried to steady her voice. "Human. Admiral, the records were clear. Earth fell centuries ago. Your return was unforeseen." Kane's smile deepened by a millimeter. "Oh, we like to keep our travel plans a surprise. Keeps things interesting." The representatives exchanged nervous glances. Somewhere, claws scraped on the table. Across the chamber, the Holgrath warlord, a hulking reptilian mass of teeth and arrogance, slammed a fist down. "Your fleet used ancient weapons that should not exist. Plasma walls, coil lances, singularity disruptors, these are relics." Kane cocked his head. "Relics, yes. Effective relics, wouldn't you say? Half your ships stopped existing before they even knew what hit them. Some relics aged like wine." The warlord growled, but Kane didn't flinch. Instead, he gestured vaguely toward the window where the dark sprawl of space framed the human fleet beyond. Their formation was unnervingly precise, ships moving as if tethered by an unseen rhythm. Even now, alien tactical AIs struggled to track the patterns. The Korath ambassador, her translucent skin glowing faintly with shifting bioluminescence, finally spoke. "Your species was erased from galactic registries. No sightings, no transmissions, nothing. And now you appear with a fleet no one knew survived." "Not a fleet," Kane corrected politely. "A fraction. We wouldn't want to overwhelm anyone." The silence that followed was suffocating. Kane let it linger, watching them squirm like schoolchildren caught cheating on an exam. Finally, Chancellor Rytha cleared her throat. "What is it you want, Admiral Kane? To rejoin Galactic Society? To demand reparations?" Kane chuckled softly, a sound utterly at odds with the tension. "Reparations? That would imply you owe us something. I'm not here to beg at your table." He leaned forward, lowering his voice without losing its warmth. "I'm here to remind you that the table is ours." The words dropped like a blade. Several representatives hissed. The Holgrath warlord rose halfway from his seat, scales bristling. "You dare threaten the High Council? Threaten?" Kane blinked, then smiled as though genuinely amused. "No, no, no. Merely clarifying. You see, you assumed humanity was gone. That miscalculation has consequences." From the shadows behind Kane, a hologram flickered to life. It displayed a star map, thousands of light years spread across the chamber. Red dots bloomed across dozens of sectors, surrounding core trade routes. The alien representatives gasped. These, Kane said lightly, are just some of the positions my fleet has been holding quietly for decades. Think of it as a friendly neighborhood watch. The Korath ambassador whispered. Impossible. No empire could hide fleets of that size. Kane cut her off with a raised finger. Empires can't. But humans? We had practice. You forget, survival is what we do best. Rytha's feathers trembled. Why reveal yourselves now? Kane's gaze sharpened. For the first time, the polite mask cracked, letting something colder bleed through. Because the galaxy keeps playing with fire, and Earth is tired of pretending it's ash. The chamber fell into an uneasy hush. Then, with unnerving calm, Kane stood and walked toward the panoramic window. The vast expanse of stars glittered, the silhouette of the human fleet like a wolf pack in the dark. He didn't turn as he spoke. You labeled us extinct. That was inconvenient. So we decided to remind you that humans don't go extinct. We adapt, we hide, we wait. And when the moment is right. He snapped his fingers. Outside, a dozen human dreadnoughts simultaneously shifted formation, thrusters burning neon blue. The maneuver was sharp, elegant, terrifying in its unity. We return? The Hograth warlord hissed. What do you want? Kane finally turned, his smile back in place, warm as a hearth fire, sharp as a guillotine. What do I want? Nothing outrageous. A seat at the table. Recognition that Earth lives. Respect. He let the last word linger. Failed to give that, and well. He spread his hands in mock helplessness. Let's just say history shows we're very creative problem solvers when cornered. The chamber erupted into overlapping voices, fear, outrage, bargaining. Some demanded sanctions, others muttered about alliances. Kane watched it unfold like a conductor letting an orchestra warm up before the real performance. Then, in the middle of the chaos, his calm bead chimed. He tapped it casually. Yes? A human officer's crisp voice came through. Admiral, Sector 9 blockade is in position. Awaiting confirmation. Kane's smile widened. Perfect timing. Tell them to hold. We'll let our hosts finish panicking first. He closed the channel and looked back at the assembled council. His tone was almost playful now. Take your time. I know it's a lot to process. After all, extinction is such a heavy word. And it seems we never quite fit into it, do we? The council chamber fell silent again, but this time, the silence wasn't uncertainty. It was fear. Kane sat back down, folding his hands neatly. Now then. Shall we negotiate like civilized species? Or shall we test exactly how many fleets you can afford to lose before someone remembers how to say please? No one answered immediately. No one dared. Outside, Earth's forgotten fleet hovered like judgment itself, waiting for the Admiral's command.